The research vessel Poseidon's Grace floated motionless in the Pacific, 200 miles from the nearest land. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the sonar screen, her coffee growing cold in her hand. The reading made no sense. "That can't be right," she muttered. Her colleague, Marcus, leaned over her shoulder. "What am I looking at?" "Something big, really big. It's been circling us for 3 hours, staying just below our detection range. Whale. Too fast, too deliberate." Sarah zoomed in on the thermal signature. "And it's not alone. There are 6 of them now." The date was October 13th. They'd been documenting deep-sea shark populations for 2 weeks. Standard research. Nothing unusual until now. Quick pause before we continue. If you're watching this from somewhere in the world right now, let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're enjoying stories like this, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because tomorrow's episode, it goes even deeper than this. Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom. "All personnel, we've got a problem. Both dive cages just went offline. Battery systems completely dead." Sarah's blood ran cold. Her research assistant, Jamie, was scheduled to dive in 20 minutes. Part 2. First Blood. Jamie Chun. No relation to Sarah checked his dive gear for the 3rd time. At 24, he was the youngest member of the team, eager to prove himself. The cage dive would be his first real contribution to the project. "We should postpone," Sarah said, studying the sonar. "Something's not right down there. The weather window closes tomorrow," Jamie argued. "We need this footage." Captain Rodriguez made the call. "We go old school. No cage. Safety diver stays with him. 30-minute dive, no deeper than 60 feet. Marcus would be the safety diver. He'd logged over 500 dives in shark territory. If anyone could handle it, he could. They entered the water at 2:47 p.m. For the first 15 minutes, everything seemed normal. Blue water stretched endlessly in every direction. A few reef sharks glided past, curious but harmless. Jamie's camera captured stunning footage. Then Marcus saw it. A shadow, massive, moving with impossible speed. He grabbed Jamie's arm, pointed up. Time to surface. That's when the water turned red. It happened so fast. One moment Marcus was there, hand on Jamie's shoulder. The next moment he was just gone. No thrashing, no scream, just gone. Jamie spun in the water, his breathing ragged. Where was Marcus? Then he saw the pieces. A hand, floating, still wearing Marcus's dive watch. Something brushed past Jamie's leg. He looked down. An eye stared back at him, not like any shark eye he'd ever seen. This one was milky white, but it tracked his movement with intelligence, with purpose. The creature was enormous, 20 feet at least, but its shape was wrong. The dorsal fin was jagged, scarred, bent at an unnatural angle. Its skin was mottled with tumors and patches of exposed flesh. Jamie kicked hard, racing toward the surface. He could see the boat's hull above him, 50 feet, 40. The creature struck from below. Pain exploded through his leg. He screamed into his regulator, bubbles erupting around his face. He looked down. His leg was gone from the knee down. Blood clouded the water. Jamie's vision started to tunnel. He kept kicking with his remaining leg, clawing toward the light. Hands grabbed him. The crew hauled him onto the deck, tourniquet already in hand. "Where's Marcus?" Captain Rodriguez demanded. Jamie just shook his head, his face white with shock. Sarah ran to the rail and looked down into the water. 6 dorsal fins circled the boat. slowly, deliberately, waiting. Part 3. The siege. The satellite phone was dead. The radio produced only static. All electronic communication systems had failed simultaneously. "That's impossible," Rodriguez said, slamming his fist against the control panel. "These are independent systems, redundant backups." Sarah checked the sonar. The creatures were still there. Now there were 9 of them. Jamie lay in the medical bay, sedated, his leg roughly bandaged. He'd lost so much blood, without a hospital, without evacuation. Sarah pushed the thought away. "We need to understand what we're dealing with," she said. "I'm going to review the dive footage." What she saw on Jamie's camera made her stomach turn. The creature that took Marcus wasn't a normal shark. Its jaw was asymmetrical, filled with rows of broken, infected teeth. Parasites covered its gills. Its eyes, both of them, were that same cloudy white. "It's sick," Sarah whispered. "They're all sick." She pulled up her research data from the past 2 weeks. The pattern was there, hidden in plain sight. Elevated water temperatures, chemical readings showing unusual compounds, heavy metal concentrations. "There's something in the water," she said. "Something that's changing them." A sound interrupted her thoughts, a heavy thud against the hull. Then another and another. "They're ramming us," Rodriguez said, his voice tight. The sharks were attacking the boat. Through the underwater camera still functional, they watched in horror. The creatures threw themselves against the hull with suicidal fury. Not feeding behavior, not territorial aggression. This was something else. "Why are they doing this?" Rodriguez asked. Sarah pulled up the thermal imaging. "Look at their body temperatures. They're burning up. The infection. Whatever it is, it's driving them mad. They're in constant pain." As if confirming her theory, one of the sharks breached beside the boat, its entire body visible. Its skin was sloughing off in sheets. Open sores covered its flanks. But its dead white eyes were locked on the boat. On them. "We need weapons," Rodriguez said. They had 2 flare guns, a spear gun, and a box of kitchen knives. It wouldn't be enough. Part 4. Desperate measures. Night fell. The attacks intensified. The sharks had learned. They targeted weak points in the hull, the rudder, the propeller. One threw itself against the anchor chain so hard that 2 of its teeth embedded in the metal. Sarah found those teeth when she went to check the damage. She bagged them as samples, habit overriding fear. Under the microscope, she found the answer. The tooth tissue was riddled with abnormal cell growth, tumors, mutations, and something else, metallic particles embedded in the enamel. "Industrial waste," she breathed. "Someone's been dumping in this area. The heavy metals are causing massive cancer growths. The sharks are dying, and it's driving them insane with pain." "That's real comforting," Rodriguez said. "Now, how do we survive them?" A scream cut through the darkness. Sarah ran to the deck. One of the crew, Thompson, was leaning over the rail, a gaff hook in his hands. "I got one," he shouted. The shark's head erupted from the water. Its jaws clamped onto Thompson's arm and dragged him overboard before anyone could react. He didn't surface. Sarah grabbed the spotlight, aimed it at the water. In its beam, she saw Thompson's body floating 20 feet down. The sharks circled it but didn't feed. They just watched it sink. "They're not eating," Sarah said. "They're not even hungry. They're just killing." The horror of that realization settled over the crew. These weren't predators hunting for food. They were dying animals, maddened by pain, lashing out at anything that moved. Jamie appeared in the doorway, pale and shaking, leaning on a makeshift crutch. "I heard the scream. Who did we lose?" "Thompson," Rodriguez said quietly. Jamie's face hardened. Then we fight back. Sarah, that chemical data you found is there? Anything that would repel them? Sarah's mind raced. Copper sulfate. We use it to clean the algae off the hull. High concentrations are toxic to fish. We have 20 gallons in storage, Rodriguez said. They worked fast. Dumping the copper sulfate created a chemical barrier around the boat. The sharks retreated, but they didn't leave. They circled at a distance, their white eyes glowing in the spotlight. How long will this hold? Jamie asked. Maybe 2 hours. Then we have 2 hours to come up with a real plan. Part 5. The sacrifice. Rodriguez gathered the remaining crew. 5 people left. The life raft, he said. We can make a run for it. They'll shred it in seconds, Sarah argued. We'd never make it 20 feet. Then what? We wait here until they break through the hull. We give them what they want, Jamie said quietly. Everyone turned to stare at him. They're drawn to blood, movement, electrical signals from our nervous systems. They're attacking because they sense us. But if we give them something else to focus on, a distraction, Sarah said, understanding, something that mimics those signals. They rigged the ship's emergency beacon to a flotation device, added battery packs to amplify the electrical signal, wrapped it in raw meat from the galley. This is insane, Rodriguez muttered, but he helped anyway. They deployed it at dawn. The improvised lure drifted away from the boat, its beacon pulsing. The sharks turned, all of them. They converged on the device in a frenzy. The water boiled with their thrashing bodies. They tore each other apart, trying to reach the signal. Now, Rodriguez gunned the engine. The propeller caught, sputtered, and roared to life. The boat lurched forward, but they damaged it too much. The rudder barely responded, and one of the sharks, the largest one, the one that had taken Marcus, broke away from the feeding frenzy. It came for them. Sarah watched it approach, this massive, dying creature. Its body was more tumor than flesh. It should have been dead already. But it swam on, driven by pain and rage. It's going to ram us, Rodriguez shouted. Brace. The impact sent Sarah sprawling. Alarms blared. Water began gushing through a crack in the hull. Jamie grabbed the spurgeon. Get everyone to the life raft. Now. Jamie, no. I'm already dead. Sarah, this leg's infected. I can feel it. Let me do this. He jumped. The splash was like a dinner bell. The massive shark turned, its white eye fixing on Jamie's thrashing form. Jamie raised the spear gun. The shark opened its jaws, impossibly wide, filled with broken teeth and rotting flesh. Jamie fired. The spear caught the shark in the eye, punching through into its brain. The creature spasmed, its body seizing, but momentum carried it forward. It swallowed Jamie whole. Then it sank, taking him down into the darkness. Part 6. Aftermath. The Coast Guard found them 36 hours later. Rodriguez, Sarah, and 2 crew members. Dehydrated, sunburned, traumatized. The official report listed it as an encounter with abnormally aggressive sharks, likely due to environmental factors. Sarah testified at 3 separate hearings. She presented her evidence: the tissue samples, the chemical analysis, the industrial waste. Nothing happened. The company responsible for the dumping settled quietly. No admission of guilt. The settlement included non-disclosure agreements. The research site was declared off-limits, permanent exclusion zone. Sarah tried to publish her findings. Every journal rejected it. Insufficient peer review. Unable to verify claims. Too controversial. She went back to teaching, tried to forget. But 3 months after the incident, a package arrived at her office. no return address. Inside was a tooth, large, white, with that distinctive metal contamination she'd seen before, and a map. It showed similar contamination sites, dozens of them, all along the Pacific coast. Under the map, a note in Jamie's handwriting. She recognized it from his research logs. It read, "They're not isolated. This is happening everywhere. Someone needs to know. Someone needs to stop it." But Jamie had died, hadn't he? Sarah pulled up satellite images of the original research site. The exclusion zone. Ships came and went. Large industrial vessels. No markings. No registry. They were still dumping, and in the thermal imagery she could see them. Dozens of heat signatures. Large, moving in coordinated patterns. More sharks. All of them sick. All of them dying. All of them angry. Sarah picked up her phone, called Rodriguez. "I need you to assemble a crew," she said. "We're going back. Sarah, they'll never let us. They don't get to cover this up. Those things are spreading, getting sicker, more aggressive. Jamie died trying to expose this. Marcus, Thompson. They died for something." Silence on the line. "Then, when do we leave?" Sarah looked at the tooth on her desk, at the map, at the coordinates marking dozens of contaminated sites. "Tomorrow," she said, "before someone else ends up in the water." She hung up and walked to her window. The campus stretched before her, students walking to class, living their normal lives. They had no idea what was swimming in the oceans, what was being created by human negligence. The sharks weren't the monsters, they were the victims. And somewhere out there, in the deep, dark water, more of them circled, more of them suffered, more of them waited. Sarah grabbed her research bag, started packing. She had work to do, because the truth was simpler and more terrifying than any conspiracy. Humans had poisoned the ocean, and the ocean was fighting back. Up next, you've got 2 more incredible stories waiting on your screen. If this one hit you, tap to watch the next and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Oh, and drop your city in the comments. I want to see where you're watching from.